Those are the people that give us the credit rating. They say also that things are going to further deteriorate before things start to stabilize. Mr. President, I thought you said the worst was behind us. Everyone in their gut knows the worst is not behind us. You know that. It's not difficult to see the current spending is unsustainable. At some point, there's a brick wall in front of us. We're on the brink, and the president has already taken bloated government that was out of control before he got into office, and he's making it bigger. It's like the fat lady that I read about today. I don't know if you read, there she is. She's 700 pounds. She's trying to get to 1,000 pounds. That's her goal. I mean, boy, that's a, man, I wish I could do that. But that's destroying yourself. Why would you want to do that? It makes no sense. But that's America right now. Except the radicals aren't admitting it's the goal. We want to be a big fat fatty 1,000 pounds. They're not saying that. We want to be svelte. Then why put the cake down? What happens when everything comes crumbling down? Where does the hope come from? Do you remember when they were promising the worst is behind us? And I told you at that time, look out, an emergency. An emergency will come. Well, can you trust the guy who is currently offering you hope? Let me ask you this. Name the institutions besides the military that you trust, that you feel they have honor, they have integrity. Is it the media? Is it the Senate? The House? The Republicans? The Democrats? The EPA? Who? Park police? Is there anything that you really believe in? For me, the only thing that I really think really has integrity, police and military. Hope, you see, comes from a belief in something. How can you have hope in things that are rotting from the inside? You can't. The truth must be restored before you can have hope. And finally, charity. What was one of the first things that Barack Obama did when he took office? Do you remember? We talked about it. We said, this doesn't make any sense. He tried to take away tax incentives on charity. Why? Because he wanted to teach Americans how to be charitable. Excuse me? Americans don't need a lesson on charity. We're the most taxed, or one of the most taxed nations on planet Earth. We also, bar none, are the most giving country that has ever existed in the history of mankind. We don't need to be taught charity. We get it instinctively. We got it down. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Although Joe Biden, you might want to talk to him, give him a little lesson. He's only donated 0.003% of his income in 2007. I'll put the progressive George Soros against the conservative philanthropist John Huntsman any day of the week. One will die powerful. The other will die penniless, because that's what he chooses to do, to give his money away. They are taking charity and jamming it through into the government and rotting it from the inside. In the end, this is the answer. But it is also the disease if you take these faces out and turn them into these faces. Faith with Al Gore, hope with Barack Obama, and charity through health care with Nancy Pelosi. You're against health care? Well, you must be against Sally Jerkensenberg, who was born with no kneecaps, and I just got a letter from her. She also has no eyelids. She's constantly falling down, and then the dust goes right into her eyes. Why does she have no eyelids? Well, because they took them. In other words, she went in for tonsils, and they decided that if they took her eyelids, they could get more money. We have to give her the right to health care. Don't let that one word get lost on you. They are asking to give her the right to health care. You have to have faith in them, not in God. Faith in the government. Faith in the government to give you charity. Government to be the grantor of rights. 2 days before Christmas, we celebrated the real Savior's birth. And Tom Harkin said this, and I want you to watch and listen to this carefully on what he said about rights. Here it is.
What this bill does is we finally take that step. As our leader said earlier, we take that step from health care as a privilege to health care as an inalienable right of every single American citizen. And as I've said before, this bill is not complete. I've used the analogy of a starter home, in which we can add additions and enhancements as we go into the future. But like every right that we've ever passed for the American people, we revisit it later on to enhance and build on those rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Can you just bring up the part where he's saying about, you know, what we do with rights? Here it is. Every right that we've ever passed for the American people. Every right? Tom, I don't know if you've read the Declaration of Independence, but you don't have the power to grant people rights. You don't create them. You don't enhance them. They are not yours. In case you missed it, let me show you the Declaration of Independence. Bring it up. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Who the hell do you think you are, Congress? You're not God. Last time I checked, I am imperfect, so you could have created me, but I don't think you did. America, if you start depending on government to grant you rights, what they grant, they can take away. If you depend on them to grant you your rights, you've done two things. A, you've turned the republic upside down. And then you've built handcuffs and a cage for you to live in. You will be a slave to whatever the Creator deems is best for the collective. What they are about to pass. Show me, give me the scan here. It's an X-ray. This is a tumor. There's lots of tumors. There's one here. This is all a tumor. This is part of the tumor, okay? What they're about to pass is not a tumor, because the doctor could come over here and say, you got a tumor here, we got to go in and cut this out. I don't know if you can cut this tumor out. Maybe not. But you can at least try. But what they're about to pass is a bloodstream disease. It will be injected into our system, and it will be incurable. It will be in every cell of our bodies. That's why it's 2,300 pages filled with things like this little gem on page 1557, a provision for comparative effectiveness research. This is great. This is where panelists get together, and they'll have experience in a wide variety of areas, including economics. Economics? Wait a minute. I thought the problem with healthcare in America was that it was all about money and we weren't going to have bean counters anymore. Right. This bean counter no longer will be with your insurance company. This one will be a benevolent grant-writing bean counter from Washington. You'll be powerless over this guy. You can't leave his company. No. They'll tell you what treatment you can and cannot have. America, this is the moment. The fundamental transformation of America is here. I know you are busy. I know you have other things going on in your life. But I also know that this is still America. When things get tough, that's when we get going. This scene happened right before Christmas, 1776. We were losing the war like crazy. Washington lost 2/3 of his army. They were about to face was it the Hessians or the Prussians? They were like the Navy SEALs. They were Navy SEALs of the day. And we had these guys, farmers with nothing. They wanted to go home. Congress, they were chicken. Congress was on this side of the river. Congress got out, left Philadelphia, and they went to Baltimore. Washington knew it was over. Unless he came up with a plan, and here was his plan. Get them. That was pretty much it. Get in the boats, get them. Or when that river freezes, they're going to come over and they're going to slaughter every one of us. Well, everyone in these boats was freaked out because they were fighting Navy SEALs. That's when Thomas Paine wrote the follow-up to Common Sense. And he wrote this: these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation, that the harder the conflict